sign in the front row over here from a WWE fan that says, I drove 600 miles to see LA Knight. This is a man who is absolutely resonating with the WWE Universe. A groundswell of support, a real movement underway. But now, Wade, you got to keep giving them something to cheer about. Exactly. Give the people what they want. We're starting SmackDown off right by giving them the megastar. Let me talk to you. It's SummerSlam weekend. They say the biggest party of the summer, right? Well, then I look ahead and I see a 25-man battle royal, and I just happen to think about all the different competitors that might be in this thing. Now, look, that ain't everybody, obviously, as you can tell, but here I see the land of misfit toys, a group of stooges, and if you've never been called a stooge before, I take pride in calling a stooge, you stooge. Yeah! As a matter of fact, as I look at each of these guys, everybody's got a chance. Anybody can bring it home. I mean, you even got the Miz over here, right? What's the matter? I thought that was Mr. Must-See TV, right? No. Because if you ain't talking about this guy, somebody told you the wrong damn story. Yeah. Then I look over at that pasty goof Sheamus. And I start thinking about the business that happens tonight. Because while that cross-eyed half-wit thinks he's going to walk down here, and don't get me wrong, Sheamus has done it all. He's been champion many times over. He's been a world heavyweight champion. He's been United States champion. But tonight we're going to add one more accomplishment to that because he hasn't been beat yet by the one and the only with everybody saying. Yeah.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Now get the guns, the drugs from my generation. I'll take the fall, the stage, and across the nation. And it's a sin, the gods, the fake, the fraud, they're messing with me. Come on, let's get it out.
Hi, folks. Welcome to our 8th installment of Wrestle Dads. I'm your host, Chip. This podcast, we're doing things a little bit differently today. We got our first time doing an actual interview on this podcast. Our special guest today is Mr. Tim Hooks. He used to be a research assistant for WCW Magazine back in 1999. On today's episode, we discuss his time while he worked with WCW, what made him a wrestling fan, why he chose the Yab movement, plus so much more. I hope you folks enjoy. I see you've had a lot of activity going on through the week, too. It seems like other people have been trying to get to talk to the Yab movement.
Oh, yeah.
Is there like anything, they're specifically reaching out to you? I saw that you did with your email and all that stuff. Is that how this is happening?
Well, the problem is a lot of people, obviously I'm on Twitter or whatever it's called now, X or whatever. They'll reach out through direct message. And the problem that I was having was that because I get so many direct messages just from random people and whatnot, that there were times where, some important messages were kind of getting lost in the shuffle. So it was just easier to send, if they were looking for a podcast interview or whatever, it was just easier to send something like that to my email. So I would, make sure that I saw it. So, it's just amazing. I think my account's up to 24,000, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how many random direct messages I get from folks. So things can kind of get lost in the shuffle a little bit over there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm nowhere near the 23,000 that you're at. I get stuff lost in the shuffle all the time. So I can only imagine someone at your level, how they're handling the Twitter right now.
Oh, yeah.
X.
And it's funny because I have noticed, I will say this, the bots and the scammers, I used to get tons of those in direct messages, and that's really been cut down a lot over the last few months. So that's a good thing. I used to get, tons of folks, that they all had, it was amazing. They all look like this beautiful Asian woman. They all look exactly the same. They all had different names, and they all were, sending me messages saying hi and how are you, and I'm looking for a boyfriend. And it's just so funny, the kind of garbage you get over there. But it's been good. That's actually been cut down a lot, so that's helped a little bit with kind of organizing things over there.
Yeah, we're noticing that a little bit at Wrestle Dad Pods ourselves. We get a lot of the sex spots that we like to say, and it cracks us up as well. So pretty much for our listeners here, the city and state you were born in.
I am born and raised in beautiful Springfield, Massachusetts, home of the Basketball Hall of Fame and Springfield Armory. That's our claim to fame here. Now,
did you grow up playing basketball or anything like that with the Basketball Hall of Fame being there?
No, I had never had any interest in basketball for some reason. I never really was into basketball. I was more of a baseball guy. I love baseball. That was my thing. I played baseball throughout, Little League and Babe Ruth League, and then I, played a little bit in high school. But yeah, I was a baseball guy.
That's awesome. Did you stay in the state of Massachusetts for college or anything like that?
Well, I didn't go to college. I ended up going to broadcasting school in in Connecticut, Farmington, Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I ended up doing that, and the first place that I moved for radio was I was up in about 50 miles south of Canada in Vermont, in Lyndonville, Vermont.
That's awesome. I've never actually, the farthest north I've ever been being in the tip of New York State. So I couldn't even imagine.
Where are you? Where are you from?
Pittsburgh.
That's right.
Pittsburgh, okay. Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Oh, I love. I tell you what, man, I love Pennsylvania. I've thought about moving to Pennsylvania for several years now. As a matter of fact, actually, I'm a huge history buff, especially like Civil War history.
Oh, yeah.
I basically make a pilgrimage to Gettysburg every year. And I just fell in love with that area. It's such a beautiful area and all the history and stuff. So it's about, it's amazing how big of a state Pennsylvania is. But it's about, it's probably like a 3.5 hour drive from Pittsburgh down there in Gettysburg. But love Pennsylvania, man. I hopefully someday I aspire to move to that area.
Yeah, it's beautiful country here, man. I mean, you obviously have Pittsburgh high on popularity with all the Steel City and all that stuff. Like back in the day, we did a lot of building and stuff, so that put us on the map. But with the history, like with the Civil War and stuff, that you bring all that up, like Gettysburg is, for folks that are listening, if you've never been to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, it's amazing. Like everything that he's talking about, like words can't even describe it. It's just, it's moving. It's probably going to make you a little emotional visiting this site. It's absolutely gorgeous.
The thing about, and I always tell people, it's like, even if you just like history a little bit, you'll love Gettysburg. There's this certain aura there. It's hard to describe in words. You just have to kind of sort of experience it for yourself. But I'm not alone. So many people go there and they just kind of get sucked in. It's just like one of those places that has this magnetism to it that you just want to be there. You want to go there. You want to experience it constantly. And so, yeah, even if you just like history a little bit, even if you have a little bit of interest in history, go to Gettysburg. You'll love it there.
Yes, I agree. It's amazing. There's another thing that's not there anymore. I don't know if you ever, if you like bridges, did you ever hear of the Kinzua Bridge, the world's tallest man-made structure?
No. As a matter of fact, I haven't.
Well, we had that in Kinzua. It was called the Kinzua Bridge, and this thing was like over a mile high, and it was like pretty much our claim to fame. It was like right outside a little small town called Mount Jewett, and unfortunately, it got torn down by a tornado.
Oh.
And it's just like a big hole in the canyon. So for you listeners from Pennsylvania, that's the only reason why I'm throwing this out here. The Kinzua Bridge in Pennsylvania is rich in history, folks. So if you're not from here, it's worth the visit. So back to more, you said you were in broadcasting. What made the jump from broadcasting, and I want to say you had a little career in WCW.
Mhm.
So what was the jump from broadcasting to WCW?
So the wrestling thing came first. So
The wrestling was first.
yes. So I'll make a long story short. I was always a huge wrestling fan ever since I was a kid. Growing up, watching the WWF. I think I started watching, late '80s, and I watched all through the '90s up until about 2002, 2003, and in the mid '90s. Was my first dose of what we think of as social media now, and the big one out in those days was something called America Online. That was like the Twitter or Facebook back then, and I was kind of like one of the first internet wrestling insiders. The internet internet experts on wrestling. um, I started like a wrestling newsletter for everybody on America Online. I had thousands of subscribers, and when I started that, wrestling wasn't really that popular. Obviously, it had the niche following, but over the course of a couple of years, as I was doing that, wrestling became the hottest thing in pop culture, pretty much in the late '90s. So I kind of turned that. I went to the hotline that I had. I had like a 1-800 hotline. That was a big thing back then, were hotlines and stuff. I think both WWF and WCW, they both had a hotline, a 900 line you can call for news and stuff like that. So I did that for a while, and luckily one of my listeners to the hotline ended up being the executive editor for WCW Magazine. And I became really good friends with her. We talked all the time on the phone, and eventually I ended up doing work for her. And I was a part of WCW Magazine for a couple of years, starting in '98. I did work for them, researching pretty much. I was called the research assistant. I would help them out in any way that I could. And I also ended up doing Raw and Nitro reports for a magazine over there in the UK. It was called Power Slam. I think it was like pretty much the most popular wrestling magazine over there in the United Kingdom. So I did a lot of work for in wrestling and that stuff, and it's kind of a dream come true. I mean, I'm basically I was still in high school at that point, and here I
You're in
am.
high school?
Yeah, here I am, going to all these really great shows in New England from WCW. I get my comp tickets, and I get to talk to some of the guys, and it was quite the experience. It was quite the experience. But as I grew up, WCW folded. They went out of business, and I sort of just moved on to different things, other things. But it was a great fun time in my life for sure.
Now, are there any like big highlights or low points while working with WCW that you'd like to talk about right now, or do you want to move?
I mean, the highlight for me was it was May 8th. I think it was May 18th, May 7th, something like that. 1998. They brought a pay-per-view to Worcester, Mass. Slamboree 1998, and that was one of the most memorable experiences of my life. You can actually see me quite a few times. I'm right there. They gave me a great spot right on the aisle, right at the entranceway where the guys come down to the matches and stuff. And I was able to, afterwards, I was able to kind of go backstage and talk with some of the guys, and kind of was shown around a little bit, and such a great experience. So it was just so cool to kind of be behind the scenes a little bit and talk with the guys, and everyone was pretty cool for the most part. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of the highlight of that whole situation. Don't really have any bad experiences. It was all good at that point.
Now, when you say guys, are you talking like the wrestlers themselves?
Yeah, some of them. There were a few guys that I talked to. I don't remember specifically. I know that I ran into, I know Nash was back there. I'm trying to think who the hell I ran into. There were a few different guys. A Giant. Oh, God, how can I forget that? Savage was back there. I had a picture taken with him, and but some of it also too, was like I think Gene Okerlund was back there. Mean Gene. I'm trying to remember, but yeah, no, just
Now,
anybody
when
that
you
was.
say like interactions, do you talked with these guys and like?
Very briefly, just just kind of handshake and a picture or something, and just very very brief. It wasn't anything to write home about, but it was just cool to kind of meet these guys and just shake their hand and have a few words. It was really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, just because we're from Pittsburgh, did you have any interactions with the commentator Mark Madden at all?
No, I never. I was pretty much out at that point when he came in. If I remember correctly, I think he came in like early to mid 2000.
It might have been with Vince Russo days.
Yeah, it was, because Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara, they came in, they took over WCW, I think in October of '99. So I think that Heenan was there for a little bit, and then he left, and then I think Madden came in sometime like early 2000. No, I never was able to interact with him at all, or I never met him or anything like that.
I got you. Boy, has his career really blown up. I don't know if you follow his sports career or not, but he has a local radio station in Pittsburgh.
It's interesting, because I see his name every once in a while pop up, and I know he's doing some stuff, but I really don't know. So he's got like his own gig going on now, still talking about sports.
Yeah, like it's like he loves to push the envelope with people. You either love or you hate the guy. And he likes to push the hate card, I do believe. Like, he likes to make people... It's awesome, you know what I mean? Like, you could tell, like, he has that heel in him, and it's it's awesome to hear. Sometimes he does piss me off when I listen to him on the radio, and he does get me to try to call in, but I've never actually spoken to him yet, but I'm trying.
Right.
So I know you talked about growing up. I don't know if you said any specifics. Who was your guy when you were younger? Like, what guy made you, like, tune in every week? Like, what specific wrestler?
Oh, I mean, obviously, Hulk Hogan was the man. He was like a god to me back in those days, late 80s, early 90s. He was, him and Ultimate Warrior too, man. I love the Ultimate Warrior. He was so awesome. Ultimate Warrior was the man. Another guy that I really liked, kind of interesting, when The Undertaker first came in, he was so different and had that crazy aura around him when he first came in. The first couple of years of The Undertaker, God, I must have been like, I don't know, like 10, 11 years old at that point. And he was so cool. I remember one year, after like a year or two after he debuted, I remember dressing up as him for Halloween. I went to school as The Undertaker one day for Halloween. Which is kind of ironic, because after the first couple of years, I was never a big Undertaker guy after that. Like, I never really bought into as I got older, I just never bought into the whole supernatural Undertaker, all that side. I just kind of lost interest in that. So I know most people are huge Undertaker fans, but after that first year or two, I kind of just, I couldn't have cared less about him. I'll be honest with you. But no, I mean, those were the guys, man. I mean, Hogan's, Savage obviously is in there. These are the guys I grew up with. Warrior, maybe Jake Roberts to a lesser extent. His character was always very interesting. But it's just those main guys, those big guys. Hogan, Warrior, Undertaker, Savage, those are the big ones back then for me.
Oh, yeah. I think you just said Jake the Snake Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
We actually met him at WrestleCon with my kids, and he's an awesome guy. Like, we got a picture with a couple autographs. Like, he is awesome. I'm glad I want to say he was working with DDP a lot to, like, get his mental state back together.
I'm really happy for him, because I hope he's doing well. I hope that, everything's on the up and up, and he's, sticking with it, because, man, for God, good 20, 25 years, that guy was really fucked up. And I'm just glad that, he survived that and seems to be in a good place now. But oh boy, I remember stories of, back, like it was like when he came back, his return in the WWF, like mid '90s. I remember stories of, he couldn't drive because he lost his license because of DUIs.
Oh yeah.
And I remember stories of, guys that would have to, they're on their way to Madison Square Garden for a show, and they'd have to stop off at some crack house, drop him off so he can get his cracks before the show. He was in rough shape, but I'm glad to hear that he's doing better now. Hopefully that'll continue.
Yeah, he looked awesome. And like I remember, like I can't remember the specific match. I know it probably happened multiple times, but like during live matches, like you could tell that he was just like hammered.
Yeah.
And like couldn't like barely tell like what he was doing. And it was just very sad to see just such an amazing wrestler that had such a good
there was a pay-per-view. I think it was called The Heroes of Wrestling. It was this independent pay-per-view. I think it went on like, if I remember correctly, maybe like early 2000s, late 90s, somewhere in there. And they brought him in, and he was a train wreck. Like, he was so fucked up for that match. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, to say the least. But yeah, so yeah, I'm happy that he's doing better now.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he's awesome to see. He was one of my favorites. He's got one of the most iconic gimmicks ever. I mean, like, as a wrestling fan, like, how do you not remember that snake? Like, that he used to just carry everywhere he went. Like, it was such a good gimmick. And I'm like, so now that we're running down memory lane, did that snake actually bite any wrestler on television? You remember?
Just the one time there with the King Cobra and Savage.
That was the only time.
Yes.
Okay. No,
I don't. Yeah, obviously, I don't know for sure, but from what I remember, I don't think there was any time where, because those snakes, the snakes he had, I mean, they really weren't. They're more of constrictors. I don't think they were really out to bite anybody. But yeah, no, just that time where he had Savage in the ropes and he let the King Cobra bite the hell out of him. That was crazy.
Like I'm trying. That was a long time ago, man. For some reason that specific memory is escaping me right now.
Dude, let me tell you something. Look it up. It was on a Superstars taping, and it was funny because, Jake Roberts had Randy Savage tied up in the ropes, and he brings the snake over, and the snake just latches on to his bicep. Okay, he's just latched on.
That's amazing. And
legit, the snake would not let go. It was supposed to be a quick bite and then take him off. But that snake dug in there. It was dug into his arm for a good minute, probably. And they just could not get that snake off of his arm.
That's awesome. So like they had to do like legit improv right there, like on the spot.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Couldn't get the thing off his arm.
I'm definitely gonna have to look this up. That is,
check it out.
So that Slamboree that we touched base on earlier, would you say that that's your favorite live match or event that you've been to your entire life, or is there another event that you would like to share with us?
So actually, the event that will be my most memorable ever was actually in the same building as that pay-per-view at the Worcester Centrum, Worcester, Massachusetts. The match that I remember, will always remember, is considered the biggest pop in professional wrestling history. It was the night that Mick Foley won the WWF Championship on a Monday Night Raw taping, December 29th, 1998. And I was there, and it was one of those things where, I mean, we wanted Foley to win that championship so bad, but you didn't really think it was going to happen. It was a Raw taping. Are they really going to do a title change on a Raw taping to Mick Foley for the first time? And I remember Stone Cold Steve Austin had been actually out for a few weeks. He hadn't been on TV, and now this is at the height of his popularity, and he had not been on TV for 2 or 3 weeks because he was dealing with like a legit virus, he came down with this really, really nasty virus, and he was out for 2 or 3 weeks. and he hadn't been on the Raw that was live the night before. So, here we are in Worcester, and we're thinking there's no way he's going to show up for a taping. For if he's not on the live Raw yesterday, he's not going to be here for this live or this tape show tonight. And as that championship match was unfolding, the very end of it, man, all of a sudden that glass shattered. And here comes Steve Austin. And if you go back and you watch the reaction that he got when he came to the ring, like I said, it's viewed by many, including myself, as the biggest crowd pop in the history of professional wrestling. And I was very proud to be part of that. And, Austin comes down, he smacks The Rock with the chair, and Mick Foley covers The Rock. 1, 2, 3 becomes the new WWF World Heavyweight Champion. I'll never forget it. Chills. I'm getting chills just thinking about it right now. What an amazing event that was. Amazing, amazing, amazing.
Yeah, you gave me chills too, my man, talking about that story. Now, it reminds me of the time, I want to say that was during the Monday Night War with WCW. And I want to say thanks to Eric Bischoff doing the whole, because you said it, they used to do tapings back then, folks. Not everything was live like it is today. So, so for example, what day of the week was this taping that you saw?
Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday. Okay.
Yep.
Well, on that Tuesday, and as you folks know now, Raw is on Monday. So they used to tape these shows and then put them on television later. And it was back in the time, it was cool. You couldn't really do anything to counteract that. That's what they did. So WCW used to leak out this information during the opening credits of their show. And Eric Bischoff said, well, Mankind is going to win the world heavyweight title. And I do believe he said that ought to put some butts in the seats or something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
And that ended up turning all the viewers to WWF.
So real quick on that. So when you talk about tape shows, back when Nitro first went on the air to oppose Raw, this is September of '95. For a few weeks there, Bischoff was giving away results to the Raw show. At that time, Raw was only live once a month. They would have a live show after the pay-per-view, and then they would do 3 weeks worth of tapings on that night. So at that point, you had basically a month's worth of Raws that was taped. Bischoff did that at the very beginning. He did that for a few times. Then he stopped doing it because they were having legal issues with the WWF and all these kind of things. So he stopped doing it. So fast forward to this event, and this is again. So this would have aired. It was the first. So it was in January 4th, I think, was when it aired. 1999, Nitro Raw opposed. Obviously, Nitro was live. Raw was taped, and Bischoff tells the lead commentator Tony Schiavone to go out there and say, Mick Foley is going to win their championship tonight. That's going to put butts in the seats. Just joking around and making it sound like it was no big deal. And at that point, when Tony Schiavone gave that away, hundreds of thousands of people switched immediately from Nitro to Raw to see him win the championship. So here's the thing that a lot of people forget. There's 2 things. First of all, that night that aired, Mankind, Mick Foley winning the championship, that was the same night that the infamous finger poke of doom took place. You're familiar with that?
No, please elaborate on that.
So the finger poke of doom was basically Kevin Nash had just won the WCW championship.
Oh, I know what's going with.
And Hogan had just come back, and I guess it was this whole storyline where Goldberg was supposed to fight Nash, but Goldberg was arrested, so someone had to take his place. So Hogan ended up taking his place, and it was for the main event. Here they go. It's Kevin Nash versus Hulk Hogan for the WCW championship. And as they approach each other, all of a sudden Hogan just pokes Kevin Nash in the chest. The guy takes the biggest bump you ever seen. Hogan covers him for the 1, 2, 3. It was a big ruse. It was a big joke. Hogan is now the new world heavyweight champion of WCW because they had a big master plan to give Hogan the title back. That was the finger poke of doom. It was a fucking joke, and it really hurt WCW. At the same time, like we talked about on the other channel, one of the most epic moments, historic moments in Raw history, wrestling history, was taking place. Now, another thing people forget is that on the night that Mick Foley won that championship, of the taping, that Tuesday night, after he won the championship, the WWF put on their website that he won the championship that night. So the WWF themselves wanted everybody to know that Mick Foley won the world championship, and that on this coming Monday night's Raw, you'll be able to watch Mick Foley win the WWF championship. So when Bischoff did that, and he told Schiavone to tell everybody that Mick Foley won the championship, he literally was playing into the hands of what the WWF wanted, because they wanted people to know that he won it so that they would tune in to see how it happened. And it's just funny because not many people remembered that. They think that, Bischoff made this huge mistake, and he did, but he really played into the hands exactly what the WWF wanted. And that was pretty much it, folks. Monday Night Wars is pretty much over at that point.
Yeah, no, I mean, truer words have never been spoken. Eric Bischoff really shot himself in the foot there. Yeah, when you said the finger poke of doom, for some reason that didn't make me think of the Kevin Nash incident that you know.
Yeah. That's the way it's referred to in wrestling lore. Finger
I
poke
gotcha.
doom.
Sometimes the sayings it's the same way with songs. I don't know how you are. I can say the lyric of the song verbatim, but if somebody asks me who sang that song, for some reason I can't come up with the band name.
Oh yeah.
So when you said finger poke of doom, I was just like, what is that? And then when you were picturing it, I was like, oh my God, you're a wrestling fan. How could you forget that? And then I want to say right before WCW went under, they did it again under Vince Russo on a live pay-per-view. And it was I want to say it was Jeff Jarrett.
Yep.
And it was just Vince Russo came out, and it was a whole fiasco, and Hogan improv and was this is why your company's in the crapper.
Yeah.
He said this on live television, folks, during a freaking pay-per-view in the ring.
That was but that was planned though. So that whole thing was scripted and planned out that way, because that was Vince Russo's deal. He always wanted to blur the lines of what was real and what wasn't. He wanted to blur those lines. So that was legit. Basically, Jeff Jarrett laid down so that Hogan could win the title, because Hogan was refusing to lose the match. He wanted to win the match. He exercised his creative control. So it was this big thing where, okay, Hogan, if you want to exercise your creative control to win, here, I'm just going to lay down and let you win. That was scripted. But then the idiot Russo comes out there, unscripted, and he cuts this scathing promo on Hogan, which ended up being the last time we ever saw Hulk Hogan. He ended up suing WCW and Vince Russo for defamation of character. And it was a whole big litigation and disaster. It was just a train wreck. So, yeah, it was quite a night. Bash at the Beach 2000.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, Bash at the Beach. Holy crap, man. Your memory is spectacular. You remember the date. You remember the year. Yeah. You remember the name of the freaking pay-per-view. That's awesome.
Dude, when I tell you I lived and breathed wrestling in those days, I lived and breathed wrestling. That was my life back then.
Now, did you, like myself, did you do any backyard wrestling?
No.
No backyard wrestling.
No.
You have no idea what it's like to hit another person with a chair.
No.
Oh, man,
No.
you're missing out.
No.
It's a great feeling. So I know you did a little podcast thing on the Twitter not too long ago, and that's actually how we kind of met and started networking with each other. I do believe you disclosed a little information, and I'm just going to ask flat out the question. If you want to divulge more information, feel free. Why do you hate Eric Bischoff specific? Is
I
there
don't
like
hate Eric
anything that he did to you personally,
Oh,
or
no,
is
no,
it
no, no.
just like,
Oh, no, 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 no. No, I don't hate Eric. No. So I don't know. I don't remember exactly what I said. I don't hate Eric Bischoff. Now, I
sorry to
did.
misquote?
No, it's okay. I did hate Eric Bischoff when I was in the late '90s with the whole Monday Night Wars thing. So I was like I said, I love wrestling, but I was a huge WWF fan. That's what I grew up with, was the WWF. And all of a sudden, WCW comes along. And from the perspective of the WWF and my perspective, this asshole, Eric Bischoff, just has come around and he's using all these dirty tactics to legitimately put the WWF out of business. So yeah, I fucking hated his guts. Not only because of that, because he was just such a little scumbag. Just the way he was, the way he looked, the way he talked. Oh, I hated Bischoff back in those days. In the Monday Night War era. Hated him, despised him. But it wasn't anything personal. It was just, business wise and storyline wise, and I hated him. So as time went on, he ended up coming to work for the WWF, WWE now. 2000, I think it was like 2003, came in to work for the WWE, and he worked off and on for them for several years. And now though, I really enjoy Bischoff. I enjoy listening to his podcast, and he has some very interesting stories. But yeah, back in the day, I hated him. That's not anymore. I'm actually sort of a Bischoff fan now. As a matter of fact, I don't know why, but he followed my my account a couple weeks ago, which was
You're
strange.
talking about the Yeah movement?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. So I don't know, because he doesn't follow many people. So I'm curious as to why he followed my account.
Well, I know he made some sort of tweet, and he's been talking in a positive light about AEW, and I don't know if it's about this big Wembley push out that they have, and I see that they recently just broke the record for most tickets ever sold for one live event, so shout out to AEW for that.
Yeah.
Now, you said Eric Bischoff has a podcast. Now, I have a specific question. Does he still carry on that 3 minutes thing that he used to do back in WWF, where you had 3 minutes to impress him, or he brought out like his goons and you were done talking?
Yeah, no, he doesn't do that. He doesn't do anything like that anymore.
Okay. I remember that specifically. I was watching an old Raw episode and I just saw him out there, and it was, I was laughing my ass off. Just like, there's a lot of moments where Eric Bischoff was an asshole on TV, and then there's a lot of moments where it's just genuine, like, entertainment, and it's just so good.
Yeah, he was very easy to hate.
Oh yeah, he played that. You called it to a T. He had the face. He had that little weasel smile, like his little haircut. Like everything that he did was to make you hate him, and he played it to a T.
Yeah, he was awesome at that.
Very good. Now, to go to the exact opposite, and pretty much my last question here, and the main reason why I wanted you on our podcast today, is for you to talk about our boy LA Knight, and why you decided to choose the Yeah movement, and what are your plans moving forward with?
So, as I've said, it's a huge wrestling fan up until about 2002, 2003, and then I just kind of moved on to other things. And really, I didn't watch the product at all between 2003 and maybe like 2016, somewhere in there. I didn't watch it all. I didn't watch a single second of wrestling. And then I kind of sort of, as all these podcasts started coming out about, like Bischoff's podcast or Bruce Pritchard's podcast, all these different things started coming out. I started kind of listening to those and kind of gradually just started very casually watching wrestling again, and that went on pretty much for the last 6 years or so. And then the Royal Rumble came around, 2023, this year's Royal Rumble, and I was hearing about this guy named LA Knight, and he was in the feud with Bray Wyatt. And I never seen him before. I had heard of, I knew when he was, Max Dupree. I remember that gimmick. But I'd never really seen him as this LA Knight character. And he comes out at the Royal Rumble for his match. And I see this guy. I'm like, wow, this guy's awesome. Like, it just hit me immediately. Like, just his swagger and just the way he presented himself piqued my interest. So I saw that match, whatever, and it was really good. It was very interesting for what it was. And I decided to do a little research on this LA Knight character. And I watched some of his promos and I watched a few of his matches. I'm like, this guy is awesome. Like, he reminded me of a time when I loved wrestling, and that was back, in the Attitude Era and that kind of stuff. And I remember remarking to a friend of mine a couple of years ago, it's like, wrestling's fine and good now, but like, I just can't get into it. Like, there's nobody on the show that, makes me laugh anymore. And back in the day, you'd watch it, and it was, guys would make you laugh, and it was entertaining, and it was interesting, and it was different, and it was truly entertaining, and none of that's going on now. And then I take a look at this guy, and this guy's doing it all for me, man. He's making me laugh. He's hilarious. His promos are great. He's got a great look, great physique. Like, this is the guy, man. This guy is great. And so I started watching a little bit more closely, especially, trying to catch one of his matches. And it was really frustrating because, after the Royal Rumble with that, they, had a nice feud there with Bray Wyatt, but after that, they didn't do anything with him. He was pretty much glorified enhancement talent through, I would say, February, March, April. That's pretty much all he did. He went out there, he lost matches, and that was it. And they didn't do anything with him. But you could sense that every week he started to get a little bit more popular. He was starting to catch on with the fans a little bit more every single week, even though he was being used as a heel and as pretty much, losing every match. Like, this guy was starting to get over as a babyface. And there's more and more outcry for this guy to be used right, for this guy to be used more. And, because he sort of brought back this love of wrestling that I had, and there was sort of this grassroots movement to get this guy more attention, to get him more time on the air, I sort of just said, you know what, I'm going to, like I said, I use social media, especially Twitter. I build social media accounts. That's what I do as part of my living. I make money helping people build social media accounts and get followings and that kind of thing. And I said to myself, you know what, as a hobby, why don't I just start a Twitter account? I know I'll be able to grow it. Maybe we can, I don't know, who knows? Maybe, we can get some kind of coordinated effort to where, we can get more signs in the arena, and maybe we can get people to buy more LA Knight merchandise and, get the ball rolling with this guy. So, no, man, it's just been a passion for me. I love wrestling. I'll always love wrestling. And, this is the guy, and I saw this months ago, that I really believe that he could be the face of the company. And I still believe that. And what we're seeing now is I was kind of proven right about that, to where this guy right now, in just a matter of a few months, went from, crickets when he came out to all of a sudden now he's the most popular wrestler in the world. It's getting a lot of pops that we've seen in years. So it's sort of just been it's been a hobby, but it's also been a real passion for me to, any way that I could try to get this guy some more airtime. And it's working out pretty well right now. And I think we're heading in a good direction with LA Knight.
Yeah. So now you said that this is a personal hobby for you. You don't actually you're not an affiliate with WWE or LA Knight in any way. This is just you personally.
That's correct. my own thing.
Now I see like on the Twitter, is that your personal merchandise? Like, are you currently like promoting anything yourself or anybody to buy, or are you just pushing like WWE merchandise?
So here's what's going on. My main thing, I think I just mentioned this a little earlier, but when I started this account, we're trying to get LA Knight a push. And I was honest with people. I said, listen, we can bitch and moan and scream all we want to on social media, but they're not going to listen to us on social media. They don't care what we say on social media, okay?
Agreed.
Hell, we can even give this guy loud pops in the arenas, and they're still not going to budge. WWE wanted this guy to be a mid-card heel, even to the point where I think it was in early May or mid-May. He was starting to get those big reactions, babyface reactions from the crowd. And one night when they had to tape SmackDown because they were going to be in Saudi Arabia that night, so they taped that SmackDown the previous week. WWE literally piped in boos to go over because they didn't want people to cheer LA Knight. They wanted optically for it to seem like he was getting booed by the crowd because they wanted him to be heel. This is in mid-May. And so at that point, it was just a passion for me to sort of get this guy over. And I told people, I said, one of the ways that we do that is that we have to buy his merchandise. We have to show WWE that he is going to make them stacks of cash. That's what it boils down to. It's a business. And they're going to, if you want to get a guy push, if you really want that, if you really want this guy to be on top, then you got to prove it to him with your unfortunately, you got to buy merch. And I'm sure, as you've seen over the last month or so, the guy's the top merch seller in all of wrestling. Number one, with I think 15 items. It's got 15 items in a WWE shop, as opposed to like Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, the Bloodline. They have hundreds of items for sale. LA Knight has 15 things for sale, a couple T-shirts, a couple plaques, and he's the number one overall merch seller of the entire company. So I think we've achieved that. So that's kind of what I've been trying to do. Is I've been trying to drive people over to the shop to buy merchandise, to send a clear message that we're on board with this guy and we're willing to put our money where our mouth is. Now, a couple things going on. I'm in the process of becoming a WWE shop affiliate, which basically means that I'll be getting a little cut. I think like 8% of everything that my followers buy. I'll get a little cut, so I'm even more incentivized to help push the product.
That's awesome.
Secondly, I'm in the process now of developing some movement merchandise of my own, because there's huge outcry for LA Knight stuff, and there's not much out there. So I think that there's a few things that I've got in the works right now for movement T-shirts and hoodies and kind of stuff like that. I'm still in the process of working out. So yeah, it's kind of both at this point. It's both driving it to WWE and driving it hopefully to my own little thing going on.
I gotcha. So like instead of you making personal products, you're just going to get a little percentage of what WWE is selling.
Yes, that's correct. Like I think it's like 8% or something like that. If people that
hey man, if you want to divulge all that information, that's up to you, bro.
Yeah.
I just think it's amazing that the hype and everything behind you, like it's just like you're everywhere, dude. I want to say like they gave you a shout out, or at least like showed your tweet for a little bit, like the movement hashtag was on WWE The Bump. Mm-hmm. Like I got to give you a shout out for that. Like I'm sure everybody's already noticed that. Now, did you come up with that design that I see on Twitter yourself, or are you like, is there a team with you, or is this just a one-man thing behind the movement?
I have there's a gentleman that I met when I first started the account that is really good with that kind of stuff, graphics. He does some good videos and stuff. And I had put out a call for people to send me recommendations, examples, different ideas for a logo. And this one particular gentleman had sent that to me, and I thought it was perfect. I thought it was absolutely perfect for what LA Knight is, and the Yeah movement is. To have, it's sort of a retro Attitude Era WWF style logo, and the guy like LA Knight, who brings back that Attitude Era vibe. I liked it a lot. So, so yeah, no, I can't take credit for that. I have somebody who came up with that, and I think it's great. So I think we're going to go ahead and use that.
Oh yeah, man, it's amazing. Like it's eye popping, and it's one of the main reasons why I love LA Knight, because it's so simple. It's just one word. Anybody can say it, and it's fun to say.
Well, I'll tell you, it's funny. I've been saying this for a while now, and I'll continue to say it. There's an entire generation of people that will never ever look at or say the word "yeah" the same again. It'll always be LA Knight's "yeah" for a whole generation of people.
It's along the lines of Stone Cold's what?
Yeah.
Like it's perfect. Like you say, the Attitude Era, and I couldn't agree with you more and more. I know a lot of people like to say The Rock, and it's like, yeah, he does a little bit of what The Rock does, but he does a little bit of what Stone Cold does, and he's got his own originality behind it too. So
that's right.
Every professional wrestler at some point copycats somebody else that they saw, and if they say they didn't, they're fucking liars.
Right. It's all about look. It's all about inspiration. And when you're a kid, you grow up watching wrestling. Of course, you're going to be inspired by your role models and the wrestlers you love. I mean, that's just natural. Everyone does that. And I bet you, I promise you that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of wrestlers that have emulated The Rock or emulated Stone Cold Steve Austin or whatever, and they accomplished nothing. They never made it beyond the independent scene because they just weren't talented enough to do it. And that's where we have a guy like LA Knight who came out and has now become the most popular wrestler in the world because of his charisma, of his creativity, of his catchphrases. That's why he's on top right now as far as popularity, because of him and what he's been able to create. Of course, he's taken inspiration from the wrestlers he loved when he was growing up. And I always found it funny that people look at him and they think of The Rock and they think of Stone Cold Steve Austin, some of the greats of all time. And he reminds them of them. And they think that's a bad thing.
I don't know why.
It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. I mean, I'm sorry, if someone compares me to the greatest of all time, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a very good thing.
I want to be compared to those guys.
No, it's just laughable. But you know what? There are a lot of haters out there. I've seen them, and they're just, a lot of them are just jealous because they have their favorites, and their favorite wrestler isn't getting the push, and their favorite wrestler isn't as popular, so they're very jealous of LA Knight. They just want to bring him down somehow. So that's all it is.
Oh yeah, no, success breeds haters. And like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know about you, but like, I'm not the biggest Triple H fan as a wrestler. And that's how I felt. Like, I just felt like as he was getting the push and being the champion back in the day, I just felt like how kind of a lot of the haters are like talking about LA Knight right now. And it's just like, I get it. It's your personal opinion. But like,
that's fine.
This is what's happening in WWE right now. So everybody just sit back and fucking enjoy it because it's awesome.
Yeah, it is. That's it. Enjoy it. It's supposed to be fun, right? You watch wrestling because it's entertaining and it's fun. Just have fun. Enjoy it while it lasts, because what we're witnessing right now, if you're an LA Knight fan, if you're not, I don't know, whatever, most people are. And I say to those people, enjoy it, because something like this doesn't happen that often. It really doesn't. And it's important to really, really just understand the time you're in what's going on and just to enjoy it as it's happening.
There's not many good things going on in the world right now, and he's one of them. And like, good things don't usually last, folks. So what my man Tim here is saying, I didn't actually use your real name a lot in this podcast, but I will during the intro and all that. So
cool.
But yeah, man, Tim, it's been awesome to talk to you, man. I've been noticing everything that you've been doing on the Twitter.
Right.
You said a lot of things during this little podcast that we've done together that just blows my mind. Like you said, currently, if you want to talk more about what you're doing currently, you said that's what you do. You help people with social media pages and stuff like that.
Yeah. There's a number of different things that I do. Nowadays, unfortunately, the way the world is and whatnot, man, you gotta have a couple different sources of income. It's really tough just to have one, full-time job, and that's going to be enough. So yeah, I do a few different things, and so one of those things is as sort of I don't know, I've just always been really good at social media. I've always been really good at being able to attract people to follow me and to get the name out there and get that humming pretty good. And so I've sort of turn that into a business and to help people grow their accounts, the people that want to have their name more out there, their business more out there, whatever it may be, whether it's, politics or just regular business, I'm all for it. I love doing it. So yeah, just a lot of fun.
Now, is this all like organically, or did you learn this from like through broadcasting or like through your time in WCW, or is this this is just how your mind works? You're just
yeah, it really is. It's just sort of one of these things that I'm just good at. I can't explain it.
I think you're one of the most impressive people I've ever come across. I think it's amazing what you've done. I mean, I think you said you were doing WCW stuff while you were in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people can fucking say that?
Not many.
You know what I mean? And and I've said it multiple times on the Twitter, you have a voice that it's made for broadcasting. So it doesn't surprise me that you have a career in broadcasting. It's just,
I appreciate that.
Talking to you is amazing. I almost want to mute myself so I don't ever cut you off, because it's amazing. It's I talked to my producer before this and I was just I don't know if you said you like baseball, so you must know Matt Vasgersian.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You remind me of him when you speak a little bit.
Huh. Yeah, Matt Vasgersian. Wow, that's a name from the past. He did commentary for the XFL when it first started.
Yes, and for you listeners, if you like video games and stuff, he's the voice behind the show, the video game. He's the guy. His voice is if an angel could speak, I wanted to have Matt Vasgersian's voice.
Well, I appreciate the comparison to him. That buoys my ego even more now.
Hey man, you deserve it, man. You're reaching levels you're allowed to be a little cocky right now, man. It's not being arrogant, man. It's celebrating. It's you got a platform now. You have a bar that's set, and not a lot of people can even get to that. And you're just beginning, my man. This is just the beginning for the Yeah movement.
Well, I'll tell you what. If I were to give anybody a piece of advice, the one thing I would say to them is, if you really believe in something, if you really truly believe in yourself, you believe in something you're doing, be tenacious. Don't give up on it. Even if things are going sour, or it's not going well, or you're running into brick walls or whatever, keep at it. Keep pushing, keep working, because every time you go out there, every time, you do your thing, that might be the day that someone notices it that's important and that can help advance your career or whatever you're doing. That's why I tell people all the time, who are writers, or they're in journalism, or if they're on the radio or broadcast or anything like that. Every time you go out there and you do your thing, give it your A+ effort, because you never, ever know who's listening, who's reading. You never know. So that's why it's always important to just give it your best every time you're out there, because you never know. You never know. That's how it happened for me. So many times in my life that I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. The right person heard me, and that's all I can say. Just don't give up. If you believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing, just keep at it. Just don't give up on yourself.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the words of inspiration. That's what I try to push here on my podcast here and through the Twitter. Like, I like to focus on positivity. I don't like negative. I mean, in wrestling, I like the heels. But that's a totally different thing.
Yes.
In real life,
Yeah.
with my children and all of that, like, I'm not trying to be negative. Like, I want them to understand that it's okay to appreciate other people and what they do for you and all that stuff. Like, everybody, for some reason, just focuses on bad shit.
Yeah,
and
it's true. Yeah.
that's not what I'm trying to do here, man. So, like, that was beautiful, well said. I'm honestly, I'm in the process of doing that myself with this podcast. I was a little nervous starting, and it's just like, you know what, folks, I was nervous and I joined this random podcast on the Twitter, and now I have the move on my podcast because of that. So
that's it, man. Just keep going. And I promise you, you're just starting out. I remember when I did this when I was on the radio, the first, because I used to record everything. And the first, when I first went on the radio compared to a year or two, the difference was unbelievable. So you'll look back at this one day and you'll be like, wow, I've improved a lot since then, or I'm way better at it. It's just natural, just, keep plugging away. You're going to get better. Every time you do it, you get a little better. You get a little more experience, and you'll be a little better.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, if you ever have any pointers for us here, I'm always open for criticism. I agree with you. You said it well the other day. If it's going to make me better as a person, I'll accept the negative criticism.
Yep.
So, man, I appreciate time. Thank you for, coming on my podcast here and answering a few of my questions that I had for you. Again, I think what you've done so far and what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And I love LA Knight myself. So, like, I'm on board, and I'm just sitting back, and I'm ready to enjoy these next couple months of wrestling.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and the one thing I'll say to people that are big LA Knight fans, and I see it all the time, especially when we're taping this. Last night, LA Knight lost. He got rolled up in a cheap win by Austin Theory. And I can't tell you how many people went to Twitter and they're just so mad. Oh, they're supposed to push this guy. Why are they burying him? What? And I'm like, dude, y'all gotta chill out. This is called professional wrestling. And in professional wrestling, we have feuds where, you don't win every time, and that a loss sets something up that's better. And, LA Knight dominated that match last night. And he ended up getting rolled up in a cheap pin because of the Miz interfering, because they're in a feud, which is going to set up a match for them at the next premium live event.
Pittsburgh.
So, yeah, that's right. So people have got to just chill, man. They live and die with every single match and every single promo. Like, chill. It's gonna be okay. I'm telling you, over the next, I would say, over the next 20 months, I think we're gonna see some really, really, really good stuff for LA Knight. As long as he stays healthy, I think we're gonna see some great stuff, because they undoubtedly have strapped that rocket to his back, and they're gonna, let him go as far as he can go.
Just to reiterate a little bit, and then I'll let you go. Like, there are a lot of haters in wrestling for some reason, and now, like, wrestlers are starting to speak back on the Twitter, and it's just like, Jesus, you ask us to do this one thing, then we do it, and then you hate us now. Just like, well, I'm not sticking up that or hating on LA Knight. What I'm doing is, if you're hating on the match last night with LA Knight, you're focusing on the outcome and the outcome alone, and you need to stop right now. You need to listen to myself and the yeah movement next couple of seconds. The last night meant fucking nothing, folks. Like that meant nothing. Like that's
Right.
like whatever. Like that was to set up The Miz and LA Knight. Fuck the US title. Fuck
Right.
Theory.
Who cares?
That
Who
nothing.
cares?
Did you watch the match, folks? LA
Yeah.
Knight looked amazing during that match. The promo before it was so fucking good. And like the pop that he got when he came out was great. And did you see his abs, dude? Like the dude looks amazing. Like it's awesome, dude. Like I'm behind you 100%. I'm behind LA Knight 100%. My kids are behind it. Like it is absolutely amazing. I appreciate people who appreciate wrestling. Like it's so hard to see an adult nowadays be willing to talk about wrestling in public. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, why? Like we got to talk about all these soap operas and all this shit. Like, okay, like it's a form of entertainment. Like why do people shut down wrestling so much? Do you know personally?
Well, look, it goes way back, and people that watch wrestling are considered to be unintelligent and country bumpkins that they think that it's real, and that's still how a lot of people view it, because it's that stigma of because it looks like a sport, the people that don't watch it automatically assume that everyone watching thinks it's real competition, and that's just not at all the case. Like it's just not like that. But that's how people are that aren't in that loop. They look at professional wrestling and the fans as people that are too stupid to realize that it's all predetermined, and it's not actual real competition. And they don't view it as entertainment. They don't view it as the people who looking from the outside in. They don't look at it as a movie or like a soap opera or like a TV show. They don't look at it that way. They look at it as people watching it because they think it's real. And that's just where that stigma is. It's always going to be there, unfortunately, because people are naive and they assume things that aren't properly correct. It's just how it is, unfortunately. So
yeah, I mean that's the problem with assuming. Like it's just don't watch the product and then they form an opinion, and it's just like, well, Jesus Christ, can you watch the product first?
Yeah.
Or like just don't speak. Like I don't know. Like so many like haters talk, and it's just like, oh my God, did you even like do a Google search before you spoke? Like my goodness, like I don't know, man.
That's just the way of the world now, though. Unfortunately, especially with the internet, and social media, and stuff. There's a whole lot of dumb people out there who think they're smart.
Yeah, they think they're smart, and it's just like, no, like, come on. Like, if you were smart, you wouldn't be sitting at home being a troll on the internet right now at 3 a.m. Like, I don't know. It's just like some people just need to be accountable and be held accountable, and it's just this is a crazy world we live in, man.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I'm just happy to see that someone else like yourself is trying to spread positivity, and it's just, dude, it's awesome to see, man. I can't wait to see what our boy LA Knight does in WWE in these next couple months. And Payback's in Pittsburgh, folks, so I'll be there live. And hey, Tim, if you're there, hit me up, and we'll throw a Yeah Movement party here in Pittsburgh, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I have for you, man. So if you want to go ahead and pop out of this call, feel free. I'll reach out to you later. And yeah, man, thank you.
Cool, brother. All right, I'll be in touch.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, see ya.
See ya.
The boyhood dream has come true.
All righty. We know what time it is, folks. It's time for the most exciting part of the podcast. We got 12 hours and 3 minutes. Raw. Go. Sami Zayn defeats JD McDonough. Chad Gable defeats Giovanni Vinci. Gunther defeats Otis. The tag team of Riddle and McIntyre defeat the Viking Raiders. Trish and Becky end in a double countout. Looks like they're building for Payback. And the main event, Cody Rhodes defeats Finn Balor. Moving on to NXT, we got the NXT NXT Tag Champs, The Family, defeating the Diad. We got Blair Davenport defeating Dana Brooke. Trick Williams defeats Drew Gulak. Wes Lee defeats D-Jack for the #1 contendership for the NXT title. Tyler Bate wins by disqualification versus Joe Coffey. And JC Jane defeats Thea Hale. Wednesday Night Dynamite, Orange Cassidy defeats Wheeler Yuta. Nick Wayne and Darby Allin team up, defeat Gates of Agony. Jeff Jarrett defeats Jeff Hardy in the Texas Chainsaw match. DMD Britt Baker defeats the Bunny. Young Bucks defeats the Guns. Moving on to Rampage, we got Ray Phoenix defeating Commander. Aussie Open defeats Ethan Page and Brother Zay. Sammy Guevara defeats John Cruz. Sheeta and Sky Blue defeat Tony Storm and Ruby Soho. On to SmackDown, we got Austin Theory defeating LA Knight. We got Bianca and Charlotte teaming up to defeat Damage Control. We got Street Profits defeating the OC. And we got Edge celebrating his 25th anniversary possible retirement match defeating Sheamus. And last but not least, we got AEW Collision. We got Jay White defeating Dalton Castle. We got Bullet Club Gold defeating Iron Savages. We got Willow Nightingale defeating Deontay. We got Powerhouse Hobbs defeating Kevin Koo. And in the main event, we got Darby Allin defeating Christian Cage. And last thing I want to say, folks, we've been doing a podcast giveaway these last couple months, and I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Jim Hayes from Baltimore for the FTR patch. Congratulations, man. Good luck on this next competition that we have going here. I hope you folks enjoy the show. Peace.
What'd he say?
Let me talk to you. Last Friday on SmackDown, Bray Wyatt brought back the Firefly Funhouse. Yippee! A grown man incel playing with puppets with spooky music, and I'm supposed to be scared of that. Huh? Wrong! If I was any more a man, there'd be two of me standing here right now. Meanwhile, this guy is living on past glory, and it just got me thinking. Here we are, Raw is turning 30 years old tonight. There's a bunch of legends back there running around. They're living on past glory. Bray Wyatt's living on past glory. And it just has me thinking, if any single one of those legends right now has enough tingle in their loins, yeah, why don't you come on down here and I'll give you a little preview of the pitch black match at Royal Rumble at your expense. Yeah. That's about what I thought. I didn't think anybody'd show up because they ain't got enough to feed. American Badass is on Monday Night Raw. Big Evil is in the house. The man that main evented. That's enough. Cut that. Before we take this anywhere, I heard what you said on Joe Rogan about the locker room being soft. Hey, I agree with you. You look back there, there's a bunch of softies back there. Top of the list is Bray Wyatt. But I'm going to tell you like this. If you think I fall under that umbrella, somebody told you the wrong story. But I tell you what, you're giving me an opportunity to do something right now. Let's just think about something here. Think of the irony of the headline that we can create right now. LA Knight sends The Undertaker to The Undertaker. Yeah! So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a pass. I'm going to let you live to see another day. I'm going to let you live to enjoy retirement, enjoy your family. Oh, but I want you to watch the pitch black match at Royal Rumble, because after that, they're going to be calling me the Lord of Darkness. Yeah! Oh, one more thing. Taker, if anybody ever asks you whose game it is and you're confused, just listen, because you'll hear everybody saying L.A. Knight. Yeah!